and welcome back to a split edition of Outlook Video. Hubert and I are in Mountain View, and Raymond is at Tucson,
Arizona.
And we're in Tucson, hometown of singer and recording artist Linda Ronstadt. I'm trying to stay cool in the 90-degree weather here as we celebrate Pride in the Desert. Like many cities, the LGBT rights movement started in the 1970s in Tucson. I was able to talk to Collette Barajas, a longtime resident of the city of just over 500,000 in population. And like many LGBT communities in their infancy, it was male-dominated.
Back in the 70s, Tucson was very segregated. The men and women's community, really, we were pretty separate. I couldn't get in the men's bars. The bars were all for men. And my best friend was a DJ, and he used to sneak me in the back door. And I just got tired of it. Now it's the late 70s, so in 1983, which would have been 25 years ago, I decided to open a women's club where everyone was welcome. I opened my club in 1983, and the theme was Colette's, where everyone was welcome. I was the first president of the Arizona Gay Bar Owners Association, and we went all different states and really taught people how to bring the community together. The late 70s was really the forming of the community coming together and starting to work together and recognizing that we were not going to get things accomplished if we were separate. There were a few of us who really worked very hard to bring the community together in the late 70s and early 80s. And I'm sure as many communities, once we all had the AIDS epidemic, the lesbians we were the ones who came to the side, to the aid of our brothers and really helped care for them.
On June 6, 1976, a 21-year-old gay man visiting Tucson from Lincoln, Nebraska, was a victim of gay bashing.
Richard Hinken was murdered on First Avenue, right down the street from the Stonewall Bar.
The attackers were tried as juveniles, and the judge ruled he found no evidence of malice or premeditation, therefore reducing their charges to manslaughter and granting them probation.
You know, basically the three men who beat him to death, you know, got a slap on their wrist. So the community really was outraged, came out and protested.
The community's outrage served to bring together many LGBT individuals and groups who worked to have sexual orientation included as a basis for discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodation just 1 year later. In 2002, the community created a memorial that now sits a few feet from Tucson City Hall.
2 years ago, his sister came because it was an anniversary of his, and so she was the grand marshal of the parade, and was really grateful for Tucson for really fighting on behalf of her brother who was murdered, and really standing up to the city and making sure that a hate crime law was passed and other things to protect gays and lesbians. Then the community really became more and more visible because of his death, and then again, I think AIDS really forced people to come out of the closet and do something. The 80s were very significant, at least my memory of here in Tucson, when Wingspan, was formed for the youth. We realized after that young man had been murdered that we needed to protect our youth. And that's really why our community center was formed, to protect youth so they would have a safe place, so they wouldn't get beat up at school. I don't know that it's important to me. I think that God gave me an ability to be out, and I don't want to be anybody other than who I am and be proud of that. So I just went, okay, I got to be out. And then I saw other people who were more afraid than I was, and I thought, I have to help them. I don't want other kids. I don't want kids to have substance abuse problems. I don't want kids to kill themselves. I don't want people to be afraid they can't have children. I don't want people to feel like I did for those 4 or 5 years. So I decided that I would become a voice and speak up for other people, because I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I really, I fought my way to school. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get beat up, but it can't be that bad. So I just decided to be a voice and try to help others not be so afraid.